Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. I do hope that you're all having a great day and that you are all doing well. To start things off, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust has become the first digital assets vehicle who will begin reporting to the SEC standards. Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust is now reporting to the US Securities and Exchange Commission, putting it one step closer to public trading. Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust manages investment of Bitcoin on behalf of its investors, exposing them to the coin's potential for gains while mitigating risks. The 21st of January announcement advertises the trust as the first of its kind to report to the SEC. Grayscale's full Form 10 is available here. Subsequent to this registration, the trust will need to file quarterly and annual reports with the SEC, which will then become publicly available in response to an inquiry from Cointelegraph. Grayscale declined to specify just when it will file the first of these reports, but said the firm will do so in accordance with SEC regulations. While a Form 10 filing is not enough for a company to begin trading publicly on exchanges, it is a step in that direction and opens the trust up to more investors than were previously available without registration. In the announcement, the firm makes particular mention of accredited investors, a controversial designation. Owning or purchasing the shares from the trust private placement gives them the advantage of quicker liquidity with a reduced holding period of 6 months. So for those of you who do not know what Grayscale is, I'm pretty sure we spoke about them a day and a half ago as well. Grayscale is typically in the news, not as much as some of the other custody cryptocurrency solutions that we have out there. Grayscale currently, at least in 2018, held over 1% of all Bitcoin in the world. I think they now hold 2% of all the Bitcoin in the world, which is insane to even think about, because if there were 50 other companies, 49 other companies doing that, that'd be all the Bitcoin that would ever exist or that currently exists on this planet. The interesting part is that they're trying to make sure that other people can now start to be invested with them as well. I assume that Grayscale, as we go forward, will become a major company. The fact that they're even, I don't want to use the word in cahoots with the SEC, but the fact that they're working very closely with the SEC tells me that this has been working, that they've been working on this for quite a bit of time. And I think the next step for them is custodying or trying to hold everyone's, or as many people as possible, even retail, everyday normal people, investors' coins as well. And I assume by the end of this decade, I know that's pretty far away, but I'm expecting them to hold anywhere from 7 to 15% of all the Bitcoin that's actually out there. I'll put it to you this way. I once had high hopes that people would be able to hold their own Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. I do know that it is quite difficult, and a lot of people do trust companies even more than themselves. However, this is just how things are going to go, and this is why we're seeing such a huge amount of interest in this space from mega companies who are willing to hold your coins, I assume, at a cost, and this is why they are registering with the SEC to be able to do the same for everyday average Joes. Yeah, that's the Grayscale news. Let's move on. Next up, Square Crypto, the crypto division of mobile payment firm Square, is unveiling its much-anticipated plan to boost Bitcoin adoption. The CEO of Square and Twitter, his name is Jack Dorsey, says Square Crypto is building a Lightning Development Kit, or an LDK. The product is designed to give developers an easy way to integrate the scaling solution Lightning with existing and new Bitcoin wallets. Lightning is a layer 2 solution designed to work on top of the Bitcoin network to make payments significantly faster and much cheaper. For those of you who have never sent or seen a Lightning payment, typically right now, if you're, depends on the day, if you're trying to send a Bitcoin payment, it actually may come around to 700, 800, 900,000 Satoshis, give or take. That's like a rough estimate. It usually comes down to anywhere from $1 to $7 US. That's around that figure. With the Lightning Network, as opposed to paying 900,000 Satoshis for a payment to go through, Lightning only costs around 1 Satoshi. Like actually one, not a fake one, like actually 1 Satoshi. Square Crypto's product will feature an API demo apps, language bindings, and other functionalities that can facilitate the integration of Lightning. Here's the actual tweet right here. Square Crypto says it considered a number of ways to supercharge Bitcoin adoption and consulted with dozens of developers before deciding to create the LDK. They said, what we heard was a desire for flexibility with integrating Lightning. Wallets and applications require different key store and backup mechanisms, security approaches, UX trade-offs, and more. This means the solution is building for more wallets, not fewer. Although it believes Lightning is crucial for Bitcoin's long-term success, the company says the technology is incomplete in its current incarnation, and I'm glad that they've also said that out loud as well. Lightning Network, we assume that when we got Lightning Network at the beginning of 2018, which many people usually assume that it was going to be the end-all, that was all that we needed for Bitcoin to be able to have super fast, mega awesome, super cool, low-cost transactions. It lies on the adoption rate as well. And we've seen an uptick in the amount of Lightning nodes and people who are using the Lightning Network, but it's nowhere near as much as we need because Lightning Network nodes have to be preloaded. I have to sneeze and it won't come out. So, for those of you who don't know or are not looking at the screen, well, here's the actual thing from medium.com. It says, what we're building, Lightning development kit from the people from Square Crypto. Here's the other part right here. It says cryptocurrency and Bitcoin are internet's national currency. This was said by Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey. For those of you who do not know, Jack Dorsey loves Bitcoin. And I don't mean like, he likes it. I mean, he really loves it. He's mentioned many times before that he is certain that Bitcoin is going to be the world's currency and or the internet's currency. And that is all that we need. However, you also need adoption on top of that as well. So it's not unrealistic that Twitter and therefore Square Crypto would have put their energy behind building something like this to kind of increase the adoption of it so that when people do create new wallets, do create new so-and-so, it can have Lightning integration so that we can send payments super cheap, super so-and-so. There was news a couple of days ago that, and I hate when people write articles like this. It was after the prices had moved up. And it was about that a whale had decided to move tons of Bitcoin. Are they going to sell it? And when you read the actual article, it was a crypto exchange. I think it was BitMEX. It was a crypto exchange who was moving their Bitcoin from one wallet to another. They had told everyone they were going to move it, but the article decided to sensationalize it to make it seem as if some mega rich person was about to sell off all of their Bitcoin as the prices were going up. Stop those kind of articles. The entire point being, when you look for other articles about the actual movement of that, I think they only air quotes. I mean, it's still significant. They only paid around $7 in fees, and people may be like, "Oh, that's a lot compared to my crypto." But compared to the current payment system that we all use, because many of us have banks, yada yada yada, $7 is a lot less than I think several hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million, that they would have otherwise spent for that actual transaction, because I think they sent over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Anyway, there are a lot of big names who are backing Bitcoin, and not even so much as like, yeah, Bitcoin's going to make it. It's more like a follow the money kind of thing. Jack Dorsey also said before, I think he has there's like a Square Crypto app where you can buy Bitcoin every single day. I think he mentioned that he maxes out every time that he can. I think it's like $10,000 is the max. And he said he maxes it out every single time that he possibly can to buy as much Bitcoin. Bitcoin's current price is around 8,000 something. So this guy's buying more than one Bitcoin just about every single day. And I assume he's also probably just not buying it on his phone. Pay attention to where the money's going, who's accumulating, and the name that keeps popping up over and over and over and over and over and over by big institutions who hold more than 1% of Bitcoin. It's always this name right here. Bitcoin. Let's move on. Here's a really weird one. The Reserve Bank of India said it had not banned the use of virtual currencies in the country when it issued a circular in 2018, the Economic Times reported. The argument came in an affidavit filed in response to a petition from the Internet and Media Association of India, known as IMI, which wants India's central bank to reconsider the 2018 circular that the group claims directed regulated entities to not deal in cryptocurrencies. According to a 30-page affidavit filed by the RBI, filed and reviewed by the Economic Times, they said, firstly, the RBI has not prohibited virtual currencies in the country. I'll tell you why that's interesting in a second. The RBI has directed the entities regulated by it to not provide services to those persons or entities dealing in or settling virtual currencies. The RBI has been able to ring fence, that a word, the entities regulated by it from being involved in activities that pose reputational and financial risks along with other legal and operational risks, end quote. Crypto exchanges have been fighting to strike the RBI's move to cut off their banking services, which effectively force companies to trade in digital assets to shut down or relocate out of the country. The parties will head back to court on Tuesday. That is, I assume, next Tuesday. What's interesting is, for those of you who were here in 2018, when this circular was released, many cryptocurrency exchanges closed within India. They were like, we have to close up shop. We can't do anything. There was never, and now the easiest way of saying it, this was released by the RBI. Everyone started panicking and said the cryptocurrencies were banned. There was a problem. We can't use them. No company can issue them, so and so and so. So the entire idea became, after people scrutinized the letter or whatever they sent out, the circular, cryptocurrencies were not banned, that the use of them was not illegal. And then lo and behold, when you have a court case against you, that's when you go, oh yeah, the thing that we put out 2 years ago, that wasn't a ban. We were just saying that no one could touch it, no one could use it, no one could so-and-so, and banks couldn't deal with people who were dealing with cryptocurrencies. What's the problem? Which means that what was the other country who just did something like that as well? There was like a path around all of this, which means that in essence, cryptocurrencies weren't banned in India. There was no real issue with them. It was more for financial institutions to not be able to deal with them, which means that people could have found other banks, not even circumvent or go around the regulations. It was more like people could have found ways. It was just the institutions within India were not able to do so. India has said since 2017 that they were going to give cryptocurrency regulations. I don't think they're going to do it anytime soon. I think they're just playing a very big game. I don't know if they're trying to figure out exactly how to keep a stronghold on their country, on their finances, whatever the actual case might be. But what they're doing is wrong. They know that it's wrong. They don't care that it's wrong because they hold the power. If they just even told people within the country it's banned 3 years ago, people would have been able to move on. If they said, yeah, it's legal, but we're going to give you a 50% tax rate. The tax rate is terrible, but at least we know that it's legal. They're dancing around the entire thing, and I assume it has to do with like a power tug of war. Anyway, I thought this was interesting. When you are confronted with something that someone then has to tell you, there's no ban on virtual currencies. Oh, you mean the thing that we put out 2 years ago that everyone thought was a ban? What are you talking about? There was no ban. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Let's move on. Next up, the South Korean government is said to be considering imposing a 20% tax on income generated from cryptocurrency transactions. South Korea's Yonhap news agency reported on Monday that officials from the Ministry of Economy and Finance's Income Tax Office have been reviewing a new proposal that could see the country adopt a clearer regime for how it taxes cryptocurrency, because the entire idea is clarity. They want clarity from us. They want to know where our transactions are going. Everything has to move on our side, but never on their side. It's always a one-side movement. An anonymous official speaking to Yonhap suggested South Korea is considering reclassifying returns made on cryptocurrencies as a type of other income, placing it in the same category as money earned from lotteries, rather than as a form of capital gains as it is currently treated. Under existing South Korean legislation, a 20% tax rate is levied on a 40% of total other income. The remaining 60% can be tax deductible. Currently, virtual currencies can be taxed under different schedules. What? With rates up to 42% under capital gains. That is a problem. I repeat, when you have other countries that have a 0% tax rate, what was the other, what was it, France? People were telling me in the comment section, wasn't it over 50% tax? Why would I stay in your country? Why would I even think of doing that? There are a couple of countries. I think Germany is one of them. I think if you hold crypto for a year and then you sell it, your tax rate is 0. Why would I even think of starting business in your country with a 42% tax rate. Why? South Korea's Ministry of Economy and Finance has pushed for a new cryptocurrency tax regime for over a month now. A ministry spokesperson confirmed to the Korea Times in December that a revised bill for enhancing the government's ability to tax cryptocurrencies would be drawn up in its first half of 2020. The official added that no plans have yet been finalized, suggesting the tax plan could be amended or even thrown out by the ministry. Yeah, because they can't say for certain, yeah, we're definitely going to do this, because then people start to get hyped up and prices start to go up. People start to buy more cryptocurrencies. The South Korean government, here's the actual news thing right here. It's en.ynh.co.kr. It says South Korea considering imposing a 20% tax on cryptocurrencies. The South Korean, almost said government, country, in 2017, along with Japan, controlled the market. Not a fake control. They really had it by the horns, and they did whatever they wanted. It was happening with them, by them. The South Korean government did not like this because it scared them. That's the easiest way of kind of saying it, because they realized that younger people, after enough research was done and people were figuring out exactly who had been investing in cryptocurrencies, it was tons of young people. And young people, as we know already before from the other surveys and whatever that were coming out about a couple of months ago, where they were asking young people, typically under the age of 35, where they plan on investing their money, a large portion of them said in crypto. It was crypto, real estate, and something else. But none of them said gold, stocks, bonds, this, that, and the other. It was always in that direction of virtual currencies and or real estate as the top priorities. So, I mean, it's just a shakeup of the status quo. It's a shakeup of everything. It's the assumption that things would remain the same, that we are in power and therefore nothing can shake that power. And then we realize, even when we saw the news before, that there would be a shift over the next, they believe, the next 20 to 30 years as to when a wealth transfer ends up happening, and the people who are 70s, 80s now pass away and give their money to their younger, why can I only think of the word kinfolk? When they only give it to their surviving members of their family, that this money would potentially then only go into cryptocurrencies. Why is this an issue? Because it's not going into the stocks, it's not going into the bonds, it's not going into the apples, it's not going into the so-and-sos, which are expected to still have continual growth based on the trajectories that we've had over the last 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, as the trends of the stock market have, up until now, not really changed. So they're trying to figure out how to, I think, keep things the same, not realizing that they have already changed dramatically. I think even when people or countries or governments talk about implementing a tax, it's more like well, if we put a tax on it, we can still make money from it, not really understanding exactly where the industry is going. By all means, they may completely understand exactly where the industry could be going. But even the news that we had yesterday, where the people from the SEC were like, yeah, we're probably going to have to hire around 2,000 coders because we don't really know what's going on. I think they see what it could be. I'm sure they are told by advisors exactly where cryptocurrencies could be in the next 10 years. But I think, once again, it's like 1992, 1993. You can watch those old news things where people are discussing what's an internet. Like they just don't get it until you are engulfed in it and you're drowning in blockchain and cryptocurrency. Then you understand how ridiculous people sounded in 2011, 2012 talking about it. Anyway, you see, I have my own feelings on all this. I assume they're going to tax crypto. I don't foresee a future where South Korea or many other countries are like, no, you're good. No tax on it. They want to also have their own slice of the bread. And I think it's just how things are going to be. However, good luck to them when implementing these things. Next up, the UK's Revenue and Customs Agency is ready to invest up to $130,000 towards the development and implementation of a new crypto analysis tool. This once again goes back to power. We need to maintain our power. According to a report, the United Kingdom's tax authority, Revenue and Customs, HMRC, is looking for vendors to showcase their capabilities by demonstrating their expertise in the field of crypto asset tracing The new software tool will be used to help tax agencies trace several types of cryptocurrency transactions which are stored anonymously on a blockchain. Although today, an increasing number of people are using cryptocurrency and digital assets for legal purposes, earning legitimate payments on their digital assets, there is still a looming concern about those who are using virtual currencies for criminal activities, which is always ridiculous because we know that people use fiat far more for legal activities. How many people are buying, and I'll put it nicely, you've heard me say this before, ladies of the night, how many people are buying drugs, and the list can go on forever in cash, but we never hear about this because cryptocurrencies and blockchain are new, and therefore they have to be demonized as a way for people to be able to do illegal things. The concern is that due to the anonymous transactions made possible by blockchain technology, cyber criminals and fraudsters around the world are able to leverage this anonymity for their own nefarious purposes. The entire point being, before I get upset at this entire article, HMRC seeks tech to unearth cryptocurrency cyber criminals. We've had the discussion before, and we will touch on it again briefly right now. I'm still wondering what's going to happen to law enforcement and the rest of the world when we start getting private transactions on top of these blockchains. We know that at least 5 solutions for private transactions on Bitcoin alone are being worked on, which means at some point you won't be able to track Bitcoin transactions, or it'll be a bit of a doozy. We know that Litecoin plans on implementing Mimblewimble. I just saw something about a day or two ago. I think where Tron is thinking about implementing one of the Starks or the Snarks on their chain. I think we know, I mean, it's going to happen. I still think that we won't get private transactions on many of the major blockchains until it becomes really fully integrated. When we get to a point where Bitcoin is over $1 trillion market cap and it's really in everyday finance and everyone's talking about it and everyone you know is looking to buy some or hold some, I think this is how I've always felt about it. This is when they'll implement the first beginnings of the private transactions. They also want to have private transactions on top of Ethereum. Anyway, it's about control. I would like to believe sometimes that it has to do, I mean, by all means, we know that there are people who do what we would call or see as evil in the world. There are tons of people who do things that may not be right, air quotes, based on what we think, what we believe, how we were raised. However, this will continue whether the money is digital, whether the money is paper, whether the money is seashells. Inherently, it's just going to continue to happen. But this should be expected, that things that we do would try to be tracked and traced a bit more. Just wait till I get to, in about a couple of minutes, wait till you hear one of the other stories, because it brings tracking transactions to another level that I hoped that we would never get to. Here's the actual article once again from publictechnology.net, and let us move on. As always, these articles are beginning to pop up more and more. You should be used to them. By now, Bitcoin investors who are waiting for a price dip to even $6,000 have missed their opportunity already. This is according to veteran trader Peter Brandt. In a market discussion with Cointelegraph on the 17th of January, the 40-year-old market stalwart said that contrary to what some believe, Bitcoin to the US dollar has already hit the floor. He said they all now want to sit and buy a break back to 6,000 or 5,000, and they've missed the bottom. And during the bottom, I think you had a lot of people accumulate with strong hands. He said the weak hands are out, the strong hands own it, which is something that we discussed during 2019. I said, don't wait for Bitcoin to hit 10,000 to start buying, and don't wait for Bitcoin to fall back down to the illustrious 3,000 in order to start buying. Another one right here says, Bitcoin's price tightens as traders prepare for a second shot at $9,200. This one says, Bitcoin just saw a key technical breakout Big reaction from bulls imminent. These articles are all over the internet. They are drowning me in their words, and I don't think that they're going to stop until Bitcoin either falls back down to 7,200 or Bitcoin goes above 9,400. They are everywhere. Everyone, 99.5% of analysers and people within the market are of the mindset to believe. How is she jumping that high? I'm so stupid. She was just added in. Believe that Bitcoin's price is going to move upwardly in the very near future. I've seen people say in the comment section before, and I sit there and laugh because people always say, that if I say that the market's going to move up, people are like, well, the market's going to go back down. And when I talk about the market going back down, people are like, okay, it's time to start buying. I think it's funny. And once again, because no one knows. However, I just bring you the current mental state of the cryptocurrency market, and what everyone is thinking is going to happen in the near future. So, on to the creepy news. Where is it? It says tech giant Amazon wants you to pay with a wave of the hand rather than a plastic swipe, according to the Wall Street Journal. A Wall Street Journal article citing undisclosed sources reports that Amazon is building new high-tech checkout terminals that can be installed in brick-and-mortar stores. The terminals would enable customers to link their credit card or their debit card information to their hands. They could then check out by scanning their palm as opposed to swiping a card. Earlier this month, Patently Apple reported that e-commerce company filed for a patent for a non-contact biometric ID system that uses a device to scan a person's hand. I'm pretty sure a lot of you are already shaking your head, just saying no over and over. Should the Amazon terminal succeed, it could disrupt the digital economy and overtake mobile wallet providers such as Apple Pay. However, card issuers have raised concerns regarding card holder security and the potential for fraud, as criminals might try to link stolen cards to their hands. Sources say that Amazon could simply blacklist fraudulent users. There's a lot to dissect here. Not even ignoring the part that it would be possible for a criminal to take your hand and use it for payment, or even link your hand to their hand, which is something I can't imagine. A world where everything is tracked, where every transaction is digital on a blockchain, on a something, and someone else not only steals your identity, but steals your hand, steals the whatever palm print, vein print, whatever for your hand, and starts making payments for wildly illegal things. You get a knock on your door and someone's like, yeah, we saw you do this. It's in your town. The place you went to is about 8 blocks away from here. We know exactly what you bought. Like, it's I don't know how we got to the point where taking paper out of our pockets became difficult and unsightly. I don't know how we got to the point where people are annoyed with swiping plastic or tapping plastic. Have any of you seen the mini documentaries that are on YouTube of people? I think it's in Sweden. I think it's Denmark and Sweden, where people are implanting chips into between their pointer and their thumb, in the little like piece of fat right there between both of them. And they like open up their car doors with their hand, and they go to work. They open up the lock with their hand, and they open up their home door with their hand. And it's like, why? Is it that difficult to take out a key? I don't mind digging. It takes about a good 3.5 seconds to dig in my pocket, take out the key, and switch to the correct key to open up my house. I don't mind looking for a key to open up the car door. There's a lot of stuff. Maybe it's just me. Maybe the convenience, maybe the extra 3 seconds saved is worth it for a lot of people. It's kind of the same thing with that Amazon supermarket. It's cool where there's no cashiers, but then you realize there are about 1,000 cameras on the ceiling looking at everything you do. It's a bit much. Here's the Wall Street Journal article right here. It says cash, plastic, or hand. Amazon envisions paying with a wave. The issue with all of this is that I can feel it, you can feel it, that this is the way that the world is going to move. Younger people, I think I spoke about this maybe a day or two as well. Younger, and there's there's a new show on Netflix. I can't remember the name of it. Wow, that's gonna suck. It's coming out in about a day or two, or has already come out. I added it to my watch later list. It's a TV show about a world where everything is under surveillance. There are drones flying above people's heads. People pay for everything with their hands. Everything is an eye scan. It's a so-and-so. But it's about a world where the people living in that world grew up with smartphones and tablets. They unlocked their phones at 7, 8 years old with a thumbprint. They only know this world that's under surveillance, and they really know nothing else. The problem is that you and I both know the moment something like this is proposed, people are going to run to it simply to be able to show other people how cool it is and what they can do. If you have a social media account, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Remember all those challenges on YouTube? Remember that someone started the fire challenge, which also then took off for some odd reason? It's these little things. Anyway, not to spend too much time on the creepiness of this, but I saw this and I thought it warranted a talk, because if Amazon, Apple, Google, fourth name, decided at some point to implement this, I think it would take about a good 10 years for people to get used to it, to get comfortable with it. But then it also leads, it's very creepy. I think it's unnecessary, maybe because I grew up in a different generation where I don't like to be tracked, where I don't mind. I honestly don't mind paying in cash. I really don't. It may take a couple of extra seconds on the line in the supermarket, but I can take the cash out of the machine and I can buy what I want when I want without people being able to track me. I understand paying taxes, but why does every transaction that I do have to be tracked? Part of my hope for the future, especially with cryptocurrencies, is a future with private transactions. I don't assume any or many people out there will be doing things that are illegal, air quotes, but in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and all the way back then, I think the world was just fine with people privately being able to do with their own money as they wanted. We are, for those of you who don't know, we are definitely in the future. I know sometimes we may get used to the things that we see, and therefore it seems like a lot of technological advances haven't been happening. We have self-driving cars, we have self-driving trucks, we have digital realtors, we have blockchain taking over for accountants, we have robots who do surgery. If you haven't looked up CRISPR, CRISPR, we can reverse aging. We can cure a lot of diseases. We are in the future. Part of the problem is that when mega companies get involved in the future and they think that things have to be creepy, a lot of their money, they will have the backing for the creepiness because their money is a lot, is very strong. Anyway, not to spend too much time on that, but be prepared for a world where someone... I think the craziest thing is going to be in 10 years walking into a supermarket and people no longer say cash or credit or card. They simply say card or hand. That, I think, would freak me out, and that would stop me from going outside for a couple of weeks. Card or hand. Like, what? As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Tigara Machonisa, Bake Me a Cake, ARF, Medic 17, Anytime Fitness, Monk's Corner Staff, Bodie McBoatface, Yes to Crypto, Miller Hitch Test Every Day, and Kyle Skips Leg Day, Minting Coins, Jeremy Fox, Jim Gardner, Anthony Charles, Nick Mangialavori, Paxis, Crypto Beer Shipmate, Vlad the Impaler, Richie Rich III, Nick Kanaya, Setsuna, Damien, Nicholas, One Earth, One Piece, One Love, Crypto Artist, Coldy 3D, Mill, Wheezy, Adobo, Bankroll Network, Crypto Joe, 242 to the World, Wise Knight Arrow, Jared Schneider, Brady Niels, Master Ventures in Thailand, Moham Maroni, Adam Graysick, Todd Mullis, Barebones Mining, A Bibliophobia, The Animal Reader, John Sarson, Mr. Pickles, Nostromo, Chongololo, Songololo, and Professor Wally from Gun Bot University. Thank you all very, very much for your support. Thank you very much to everyone who is a channel member. You're all incredibly awesome. At the moment, the market is like a upward sideways. Bitcoin is currently up by 0.36%. The rest of the market is neither up nor down by a lot. 1.6, 1.6, 0.2, 0.78, 1.15, down 0.22. Binance Coin is just Binance Coin. We've seen before, especially last year. Some days Binance Coin will be up by 18% by itself. There may be some new Binance Coin news. Something significant that's happened that we won't hear about until later on in the day. It looks like the market is waiting. See, this is the kind of stuff. Why is Bitcoin Diamond up by 10%? We'll see what happens by the end of the day. I am off to the second channel. I'm very close. Thank you all for your support really. Thank you for the support on the second channel. I am very close to 1,000 subs. That is the key goal I was kind of looking for. Yeah, and it's time to get back to work. I took a couple of days off just for like mental health reasons to get myself back together. It's time to get back to the Amazon and eBay train. A lot of stuff going on. Yeah. I do hope that you all enjoyed. Should anything significant or crazy happen within the next couple of hours, you know I will be back covering it, especially if Bitcoin decides to pop over $9,000. I do hope you all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. I think the future is... I can't explain to you how excited I am. Does anyone understand that we're in the year 2020? Do you remember Y2K? Do you remember the year 1999? I remember being very young in 1999 and thinking how crazy it would be to be able to say that I was in the world in the year 2015. Nonetheless, we've come so far technology-wise, even cryptocurrency adoption-wise. Like, I feel like, and it may just be my optimism towards life, I feel like we are so close to greatness. And I don't even mean price-wise. I mean, the things we can do, the technology that we have, we're here. I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See